It's time for the Ravagers to rise once again to glory!
You are listening to The Ravager Report, a Fox Next Marvel Strike Force podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news, information, and updates. With your hosts, Dorian.
It is a name what strikes fear into the hearts of anyone what hears it!
And Hebrew Hammer.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Ravager Report podcast. This is episode number 25, and guess what the fuck is up? It's a Chew-Brew takeover! Bwing, 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 bwing. I actually have the sound effect, and I'm going to put that in there. So
oh, God. I think it's better if we just have the lame versions of us trying to do the noise.
Yeah, I think it's better if we do. All right.
Solid.
So, that's right, everyone. When Daddy's away, the children will play. That sounded oddly more sexual the second I said that than I expected. But yeah, that's exactly why we have not only myself, Hebrew Hammer, here hosting tonight, but we also have the one and only Chew-Burger 84. So yeah, what's up, buddy? How are you doing?
Man, I'm not bad. Another weekend's over, sadly. Back into the real world very shortly. But, yeah, had nice and relaxing. Played significantly way too much Division this weekend. But it was great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm a little upset that you bought the Division for PC instead of PlayStation 4 to play with me. But, I mean, it's all good.
Oh, you said you weren't going to play it anyway. Come on now.
I didn't say I wasn't going to play it. I said that I wasn't sure if I was going to buy it yet. That's it.
I am not going to wait for you, girlfriend. I'm just going to get out there. I'm already level 30 on the final tier and closing in on gear cap already.
Jesus
so,
Christ.
Yeah. Well, my wife was a bit crook all weekend, so it gave me plenty of time to play.
Dude, I still haven't even closed off Kingdom Hearts, which I'm still waiting to finish up, and then whatchamacallit, the game that really fell through hard on what it was supposed to be. What is it called? I already forgot the name.
Anthem?
Please. Anthem. There we go. Jeez.
Yeah, you can forget about that pretty hard. I mean, that game has so much potential still, but yes. I mean, BioWare's very quickly becoming the Fox Next of EA's catalog, unfortunately. Just their ability to keep the game running, to be able to, bring out content that's actually on time and makes sense and is as what they said is just, there's some of the videos that are doing side-by-sides from the E3 conference last year to the game as it is now. Right. They've cut so much stuff out. It's almost a copy and paste of what Destiny did the first time, with how much they cut out from the first release of the game. Right. But, with significantly more bugs, forced PlayStation crashes, and etc.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I'm really worried about it, like, bricking my PlayStation 4 since I've heard a bit of that. Mine's already old, and you can hear it struggling as is whenever I turn on a game, period. So, yeah, I'm like, really concerned to play it. But it's a shame because it has such a good customization system, and the flying feels really, really good. At least for PlayStation, it feels really, really good. So I was really upset that it didn't meet the potential that we thought it was going to.
Well, I disagree about the customization thing. I mean, there's like three different suits right now for each class, and that's it. And they just rotate those through the store. Like, there is... I really don't understand how there's 5 years worth of content in that game. I understand the physics challenges of that game by being able to fly up and down and go underwater and that sort of stuff, but when you go out into the open world of that game, there's just so little of it that you're like, where did the work go in this? Is it just graphics? Like, where's the game?
So let me get this straight, because right now where I am, I'm still towards the beginning. I have my special armor set that I got from pre-ordering. Is there really no other different looking armor that I'll get as I progress?
No. I mean, you'll be able to unlock the individual pieces, but as far as the appearance goes, there is the base skin that you get. There's the skin that you only got if you pre-ordered.
I have that one.
Yeah. So let's say that you didn't get that. That means you've only got the basic one. Then there's one called the Razor, which you can sort of buy inexpensively, and that's blue rare gear. And then each class has one epic skin. So there's literally a normal, a rare, and an epic. That's it. If you pre-ordered, there's the Legion suit as well. But you need to assume a lot of people didn't do that. So, yeah, I mean, I've heard that Sony are giving people refunds because the performance has been so terrible and that they've had enough reports come back to them. Because this is the first time I've actually seen a failure where Sony had a different message when the PlayStation crashed, where it actually said, you really, really should send us this particular report. Like, normally it's just, do you want to? And this one's like, we're collecting data on this particular case. Please send this data in with as much information about what you were doing when it crashed. And it's like, well, on this occasion, I was trying to load the game. On this occasion, I was playing a Stronghold. On this occasion, I was doing this. And it's just, there's no rhyme or rhythm. I mean, the performance did improve. I played for 2 days after that last patch, which definitely improved the stability of the game. But the drop rate of loot is so unbelievably horrendously low.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's like trying to farm a 7 red star. It's like, where is this gear? I had one day where I had 3 legendaries drop in 30 minutes, and I haven't seen a piece of gear since.
Oh, wow. That's terrible.
Yeah, so that game's on the shelf. And then Division could not be more the opposite. It is constantly raining yellows and oranges and purples. Like, it's everywhere.
That's what we need. That's what I want.
Well, it becomes an inventory management issue. Like, there is so much loot coming all the time that you constantly, like, every 1 or 2 games, you have to scroll back and go back to base and sell everything off or break it down, which takes a lot longer than I think it should. There's no sort of loot all. You can tag everything as junk, but then there's a confirmation on everyone. So it's like the time it takes is like, are you sure you want to make a junk? Are you sure you want to break this down? The extra button push just makes it take a little bit longer.
Yeah, for me though, I'd still rather have that problem than the I can't find loot at all problem. But I'm used to the Diablo is like still one of my favorite games to date. At least Diablo 2 LOD is, and so I'm used to like constantly having inventory issues. So I'm not. That doesn't deter me at all. But just going back real quick to the Anthem thing, I was referring to the customization as far as that was the first time in any game I had seen customization on the level of. Material editing, like picking and choosing particular materials, the coloring of those materials, and actually seeing a difference between them. Like that kind of stuff I thought was really cool. But, not having those aesthetic differences. Like I really thought it was going to be, once again, just to kind of go back to Diablo, I thought it was going to be like a Diablo kind of system, which they had made references to a lot. So I'm surprised that there's only, a couple of sets. But yeah, I assumed that it was going to be filled with different sets that look different each time whenever you quit it.
I think we all did. And I think Division is much more Diablo 2-ish, especially. Like, just with the frequent amounts of loot and the wild rolls that you can get. Like, some of them are just, why is that even on this piece? It's like rolling It's like rolling intelligence on a double-handed sword for your barbarian-only spec. And you're like, what? Why?
Right.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, I'm enjoying the crap out of Division 2 so far.
Well, that's good, and it's good that you're here at least because I need someone to help me man this plane tonight. So I guess first of all, for anyone that's wondering where Dorian is tonight, he's really sick and he died. So I'm kidding. Yeah, he's not actually dead. But yeah, he's been feeling bad for the past 2 weeks, and it just kind of really got bad last night, and so we had to cancel last minute. So we are doing it a day later than normal, but we have Chewy here, so it's all good. So I guess before we do anything else, let's go ahead and get into real quick, even though we already briefly touched on it. Let's talk about what we did this week outside of the game, because you and I specifically had a pretty big week together.
Yeah, we did spend a lot of it together. So obviously we're gearing up for the launch of Alternate Reality, which you and I have been teasing for a long time now, about 6 months or more, which is basically a new network or a new home that we've created for all the different content that we want to do for now, with more coming in the future. So it won't always be just us. We want to try and get more people in, just so you're not hearing the same Australian and American voices. But yeah, I'm definitely excited by the 2 new projects that we recorded on Thursday your time. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what we did?
Yeah, so the first one that we did was our Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which it was really exciting to do because I got into D&D about, I want to say a year ago or so, maybe a year and a half ago. But it was so much fun, and me and all my buddies that I know locally all started to get together and play. And this is Chewy's first go around with it, like, at all, ever. So it was a lot of fun to take him in and have him learn the ropes. But yeah, we're doing a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, and we're going to be putting it not only through the podcast, but we're going to be putting it on the YouTube channel and of course the site, the parent site that we have. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I play a Warforged on there, and I am constantly getting beat up by Chewie's character, which is an angry orc. So,
well, I think there needs to be more context there. That it's very much one of those situations where you make me hit you by constantly touching me without my permission. So I would call it self-defense for your constant sexual assault. But
yeah, I really can't defend that because that is absolutely true. So. Yeah, we did do that. It's a lot of fun. We have actually everyone that is in that's in the group actually played MSF at one point or another, including our DM Spider Guy. Some of you may know him, but yeah. So that was a ton of fun, and then we actually just had our very first episode of Porn and Politics. What was that? That was Thursday night as well. Yeah, right afterwards. So that was a lot of fun too. And, we talked about basically what it's like to date in today's social climate with all of the, controversy that we have going on right now about, the ambiguity whenever it comes to consent and just basically how it is to date like that as opposed to how it was to date back whenever Chewie was single. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun to go through, and we went off way too long than we expected. But yeah, it was a really good time. So I was really excited with it.
Absolutely, man. No, it was great. I mean, we've been gearing up for both those projects for a while, but to have the campaign kicking off for D&D, and as I said, I had a lot more fun with that than I anticipated I will with Dungeons and Dragons. It gives me a chance just to chill out and be an idiot, responding to someone else doing all the pre-planning and whatnot, which is great. And then obviously we wanted to sort of have these conversations in Porn and Politics, which is you just can't talk about so many different things these days because so many people howl down people just for having an opinion that's different to theirs these days, and to have an opinion that's different to someone else's is considered borderline assault these days. And I think that's unhealthy for a society that's trying to evolve and become more intelligent. So, yeah, we want that to be a home for those kind of chats and, to still be as silly and irreverent as possible in that space.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important just to talk about the things. I mean, if we don't talk about things that are important, we're never going to inspire change. So it makes no sense not to. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And look, and Creative Name was saying in chat that he's really glad that he doesn't have to date in this current sort of era as a man. So I would definitely tune into that episode because we sort of talked about multiple perspectives, and Hebrew especially talked about what it's like to be a guy on a college campus through the eyes of his friends as well, going through that particular situation and definitely some of the pitfalls. I mean, you told me a shocking story about what one of your friends did as a woman to another guy, which I still can't believe happened. So definitely keep an ear out for that.
Yeah, and you'll get to hear a crazy story of when I almost died in a sexual encounter too. So that's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I think you left out some details of the story this time around. It wasn't as shocking the way you told it this time. I'll tell you more about that off air.
Okay. But yeah, I legitimately am traumatized from that. So I don't think I missed anything, but yeah, I'm interested to see what I missed. But anyways, just to move on with the actual podcast here. So as far as Patreon announcements are concerned, I didn't see any this week, but If I missed it, don't worry, you're going to get it next week. I promise. It's much deserved, as always. And for anyone that's interested and really enjoys the show, you can find us at patreon.com/Ravager Report. And yeah, you can just donate. We have several different tiers. Early release starts at $5, and that's usually our biggest seller. Really comes in handy for people that like the show. So I guess we already kind of went into what we did this past week. I'm going to save what we did in game for later on. Even though Dorian likes to do it now, I'll do it later. As far as the data mine, there was no data mine. I couldn't find anything new on the data mines this week, so we have nothing new there. But we do have some news in the form of a blog post, and then something that didn't really come from the blog post, but it's new, and I thought was somewhat interesting, which is the Kingpin orb. I only put that on there just because I thought it was interesting that this is the first time we see them use a different currency for buying an orb. Have you looked at what you get for it whenever you roll?
Yeah, I did have a look at it. It's predominantly garbage. I bought one, obviously, just to do the experiment and got 3 Kingpin shards and I think maybe like 20-something K. I can't remember the exact amount right now. But yeah, I would not recommend, with how much we need gold for everything else, buying any of those ever.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with you, and I don't have the gold to spend it anyways. But do you like the idea of them creating different, or being able to buy orbs with different forms of currency? Do you like that, or do you want it to stick to like the typical power core price?
I absolutely do. I'd love it if it wasn't one of the currencies that is, one of our main crunches right now.
Bottleneck.
I mean, if it had have been Blitz currency or Arena currency, I would have been saying, you know what, Fox Next? This is a great idea. I dig it. I like it a lot.
Exactly.
Because you could have forced people to empty their bag,
Yeah, exactly. I actually, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I like the direction that this might bring us in, because if they have people pulling on this, maybe it'll allow them to, or maybe make them realize that not doing just power cores and maybe having some more intricate, interesting methods to pull things would be a little nicer. Just kind of, spice it up a bit. And yeah, you would be able to get to have people drain their bags on all of their currencies if you do it right. So yeah, that could work well
absolutely.
for them monetarily.
And I tell you what, there's part of a trend with this particular package too, which I've noticed recently, is that you might remember that a few of us sort of did a survey a while back where we were looking at basically saying, look, if you jokers are looking at taking the level cap up, you have to significantly increase the gold income and the training ability mats, because people are struggling on both of those right now. The amount of offers in the store, the amount of these packs that now contain training modules, makes me think that someone over there may have actually heard there's a need for it, and rather than just increase it in game, they've just locked it behind yet another paywall.
Oh, yeah, of course. This is the exact same thing that you said is what I saw the other day, and I had the same realization. I was like, wow, there's actually these training modules coming in now. And I was like, it just started to be a problem that I started to hear of as well. And I'm like, this is pretty predictable by them to now find a new bottleneck to charge for. So yeah, I'm not excited. I haven't really hit that barrier yet myself, but I'm not excited to go through it yet. Have you hit that wall yet for training modules?
So I got to a point after bringing up, who was that? Minerva, I think it was. That basically, the second that she hit leveled up, I completely ran out of those orange mats, and I was empty on orange and the purple training modules. So someone said to me, when I was asking about the gold in the first survey, and they're like, man, you're asking the wrong question. You need training mats in here as well. So I looked at my account and I was like, wow, I actually probably could not take one more character to 65, let alone 70 right now. And, with whispers about what Fox Next is thinking for that gap between 70 and 75, I mean, even if they quadrupled the income of those orange training ability orbs, I don't know that it'd be enough.
Yeah, no, and that's what really scares me the most is that, as we're going to have that inevitable jump up to 75, the amount that we're going to need both for training orbs, for training modules and the gold. I think the gold's probably going to be like 3 mil or so. Yeah, that's incredibly frightening. I'm not looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's too expensive to level a character right now. And, and this is where I wish they would look to Galaxy of Heroes. I know I've said this before on multiple platforms, YouTube, our podcast, this podcast, that, they need to loosen up the gold bottleneck because you want people to level more teams. And then you can make some money as a company off other currencies because you want people in the end game playing around. And you're like, I'm going to bring this character up. I'm going to mess around with all these different things. I think the reason they don't, and this has become a newer theory of mine, is Ultimus gating. Because if you take the gold bottleneck away, some people may just go through and 7-star all the characters that they've had on hold, which would then mean that a ton of people are going to walk into a 7-star Ultimus. And if they do the rework to Ultimus, which they've been hinting at for a long time, that Ultimus and Ultron would be basically top-tier characters in this game, everyone would have one very quickly, especially if you've played since beta or global launch.
Right. No, that's very true. And, given the fact that their reworks typically mean that they're going to be much better, that wouldn't surprise me at all. So, well, yeah, and that's another thing. It was just, I hate how many bottlenecks we have. There's really no relief on any side at all. I'm constantly definitely strangled on gold for sure. That's my worst bottleneck. But I mean, orange mats, I never have enough. Like the ability mats, I never have enough to really upgrade the things that I need. They're very limited. Orange gear, constantly strangled on. And then training modules, I'm gonna hit the wall soon, I'm sure. So yeah, there's just no relief anywhere. So it makes leveling up a character really a terrible process. And that's not something that I feel like you want as a game that's supposed to make you happy. So,
absolutely. I mean, and for me, my pet peeve at the moment is still the orange unique items. Like, I know it doesn't make that much of a stat difference to each individual character, but, it is the gateway to Ultron via Dark Dimension. And, the fact that we are more than 7 months now since the first Dark Dimension came out, and there are only 34 people on planet Earth able to even participate in that game mode right now, is moronic. Right. And if you read through like the people that are in there or finished, I mean, let's see if this sounds familiar. Which alliance are they from? Legion of Cabal, Legion of Cabal, Legion of Cabal, right. Legion of Cabal, Pants of Hulk, Pants of Hulk, Pants of Hulk, Hydra, Legion of Cabal, Legion of Cabal. So pretty much the gap between those top 3 alliances that have been winning since, month 1 will never be closed now. It's too much. Like, they've rewarded the top so much that I actually think that the landscape and the currencies in this game are now permanently broken. I think that they would almost need a reset of some new global currency to fix this, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's always been a massive problem over here that it's just weighted far too heavily with rewards on the top tier. So it's a shame, but unfortunately, it is the reality we live in with this game.
Yeah, very much
so. But let's go ahead and move on to the blog, because there's some good stuff in the blog, and then there's some definitely not so good stuff in the blog. So first of all, we have some details on the 1-year anniversary, which is good. This actually surprised me a bit. I thought that it was going to be terrible. From the looks of it, it does not seem too bad. So we have an event campaign that's going to be coming back around that we vote on via the Facebook page, and it's either going to be Storm, Rocket Raccoon, Miss Marvel, Wasp, or Pyro. And then we have a special anniversary calendar, which we don't really know what the details of that are going to be yet, but hopefully it'll be like some good free stuff. And then we have Ant-Man and Wasp team-up event, Scarlet Witch and Miss Marvel team-up event, Rocket Raccoon and Groot team-up event, the special 2-time rewards bonus days. I guess they're going to be doing several of them throughout the time. And then reduced cost resource days for raids, blitz, and campaigns. And then special anniversary offers. That's super typical. And then a flash event. So I assume they're going to have increased rate of flash events. So that's going to be Payday, Block Party, and Relic Hand. So how do you feel about that anniversary celebration?
Yeah, I mean, I like it as long as it doesn't bump anything that's normally there. So as long as it doesn't change the existing cadence of things that should be there anyway. Like, for example, I hope that means that in the month of April, if that's when they do all this, that we actually do get 2 paydays. Or between, the one in 2 days and the end of April, that means 3 paydays total. Then that makes me happy. I think that'd be great.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I really, really hope that the resource cost reduction days for Blitz does not fall on a new or an important character Blitz.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's going to be terrible if that's the case, because myself and I mean, you go hard on the characters that you want, but I know it's an incredibly daunting task to do it. And you usually place top 100, correct? Whenever you go hard?
Whenever I go hard, yeah. I mean, it's been weeks now since I've done that, because who was the last character I did that for? I think it was either Mantis or Carnage. And then I was looking at the next Carnage Blitz, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then after one day of doing it, and then I saw the increased resource cost, so reduced resource cost, I went, no, I'm out. There's no... point, because that means I would be there spending literally probably an extra hour a day running all those extra teams through just because I could. Well, by extra teams, I mean I would run the Fury team consistently for an hour.
Right, and that's I can't imagine just how much time you're going to run an experiment. We've already talked about this, off air about your play time, and it's going to be really interesting to see. Right now, as someone who basically never blitzes, I get for characters that I want, I only get the top 10 and that's it. The top 10%, within the top 10%.
Sure.
That's about it. For characters that I don't care about at all, I won't even touch it except for my 2 dailies, which even then sometimes I'll slack on. So, yeah, and at that point, I'm still at about 10 hours a week. So, for me, I still consider that too much for a mobile game. So I can't imagine what yours is going to come in on, as long as you do it on at least one day or so that you really blitz hard. 1 or 2 days that you
yeah, absolutely. Hard. And look, and let's hope that a particular content creator doesn't steal the idea now that we've mentioned what I've been doing in the background, because it wouldn't be the first time this week. But yeah, no. So I've been running an experiment where basically I've been recording how many minutes or hours per day it takes me to do blitz runs when I'm going hard. So basically, how much time per week does it take to be a top 100 player? I've decided to delay the experiment slightly because I believe Alliance War is going to significantly increase that number, and I just have to do it again anyway. And then what I've been doing is talking to a player who's very high level in one of the top alliances in Galaxy of Heroes, and just basically saying, look, what does it look like over there now? I've been out of the game for, about 6-7 months, I think. How many hours per day do you spend? And he's like, what do you mean hours per day? No, we just get in. If there's no raid on, it might be 30 minutes of gameplay maximum across the day. And that's on a busy day.
Right.
If there's a territory war or a territory battle, if there's none of those things happen, they're talking like, you could get in, hit all your dailies and log out for, 24 hours if you wanted to.
Yeah, I still think that you should do it before Alliance Wars comes out, because I would be more interested to see as well how much the increase is whenever Alliance Wars comes out.
How it is now? Well, yeah, what I could do is Killmonger should be soon. War. Yeah, I mean, Killmonger should be soon. So what I'll do is through the Killmonger Blitz, I will record everything specifically for that Blitz. So it might be relevant. What does it take to get 100 Killmonger shards and hit all your nodes, blah, blah, blah. So... it'll be stop watching.
I just want to see.
Yeah,
right. I just want to see like how much, because you're in one of the top alliances, and I am really interested to see how much more time just Alliance War, adding that in, is going to add to the total game time as someone who's really in a competitive environment. So I'm really excited to see that, because from the way it sounds right now, from how they threw out that extra hour a day for the times that it's active, at least from what it sounds like, that's too much. And they threw that out so casually that it scared me too. They were just like, yeah, it's just an hour a day extra, no big deal. I was like, what?
Yeah. and I've talked about this in a couple of spaces as well, but the fact that, I can just about finish a AAA title game, like Spider-Man PS4, did not take me as long to finish as, this game does to play in a week if there's a big blitz on. God forbid there should be 2 blitzes like we had with that, what was it? Did we have, I think it was Carnage and Mantis or something in the 1 week. There was just something ludicrous where you're like, dude, this is terrible. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that one was really bad. And I think it was Mantis and Carnage because they did release right around the same time. And I remember being like, oh, I feel bad for everyone that's trying to get both of them. So, and you're one of them. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, what you're going to talk about very soon, I kind of wish that I actually did participate in that Carnage Blitz after all, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, actually, let's go ahead and jump right into that then.
Sure.
Well, all right. So, I guess we never kind of landed on. So, overall, are you happy with the anniversary event? Or no?
Yeah,
outside of the moving around, as long as it doesn't move around.
Again, if it's truly bonus stuff, like if they're not just going, all right, let's just put everything in this month, and then we'll have a gap for 2 or 3 months of all these things, then yeah, I think it's a great offering to the game. If it's just basically them, putting everything that we're going to put out anyway. I mean, some of those events should have been back before now anyway, so this might be a way to just catch up and try and get some good PR out of it. So, this is how cynical they've made me. I look at everything like it's a Trojan horse now from this company. It's bad, man.
That's the best way to do it, though.
Yeah. I mean, reduced resource cost for campaigns is spectacular. For raids is actually quite good as well. As long as it's all resource, like it should be not only the energy to attempt it, but also the heals. If they only do the attempts, I don't think that that's a good idea, because if it's just the attempts, in things like, Beta 4, you are going to run out of heals. Like, you can have all the energy in the world, but you're going to run out of teams if you can't heal them. So they'll need to do both there. It's great that all those other events are coming back. The special anniversary offers, it's for money. So, I mean, a lot of people aren't necessarily going to reap the benefits of that. And it wouldn't surprise me where most of the exciting things are actually locked in there.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think that the special anniversary offers are going to be that compelling to buy. I think it's going to be just a very slightly reduced price. But honestly, this was better than what I thought, because I had the bar set so low on what I thought was going to happen. That literally anything on top of special anniversary offers was better, because I was thinking that they might actually just go for special anniversary offers and that's it. I wouldn't have put it past them specifically. So, but yeah, for me, it kind of all hangs on the anniversary calendar. I want to see what kind of free stuff they're giving us with that calendar.
Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to make people happy right now, I mean, it would be Carnage or Green Goblin as the... Exactly. If you gave shards for those two, I think that would be a very good gesture. But I think it's likely to be something, old school, like Cap or something like that.
Yeah. And, speaking of that, so let's go ahead and move on to the Cherie Legendary event. So we found out yesterday in the blog who we need to get Cherie in the Legendary event. Which, first of all, I just want to go ahead and say, I don't think Cherie is worthy of a Legendary event. Would you say that she is?
Look, I think she's a cool character. I really do. But, that team needs someone to pin everything on. And I guess she kind of makes sense in that she would be the one developing the tech for everyone else to make them succeed. Yeah, I can kind of see where that would be. I mean, is she the biggest character that you would say, oh yeah, she should definitely be a legendary character? No, that would be Black Panther. But they can't do that purely just because of the way that they're doing the launch. So, yeah... It's odd, but I guess it also makes sense in a way that she would be a character that in that universe would make everyone better because of her knowledge. So Kevin Feige has even come out and said that she is the most intelligent character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anywhere. She said she's smarter than Stark.
Wow. I mean, I suppose that makes sense. She's very young, and she's created tech that is at least on par, if not better, in some cases. We haven't seen like everything that she's made so far, but I mean, she's made some pretty amazing stuff, and she's very young. So
yeah,
that would make sense.
Well, to slightly go off topic, I mean, if they do the whole, killing off the old guard in Avengers Endgame, I actually genuinely hope that Shuri basically steps up if Stark dies and becomes Iron Man.
That would actually be super cool. I didn't even think about that happening, but that would be super cool if it did happen.
Yeah, I mean, like Wakandan tech in an Iron Man suit. I mean, that would be gangster.
Yeah, that would be really fucking cool. For me personally, Shuri, I think that I really liked her because she was funny in the movie. I wasn't a huge fan of the Black Panther movie, period, but I didn't dislike it, but I just wasn't like, oh my god, amazing to me. But I did like Shuri probably the most out of everyone, just because she was funnier, I thought. But I wouldn't mind if she kind of took up the mantle as Stark, as you said. I think that would actually make her a cooler character in my head. So, but yeah, I was just surprised that she was a legendary event. I would have pinned Captain Marvel as a legendary event, like a few months ago.
True.
If they would have said Shuri or Captain Marvel, I would have said Captain Marvel hands down. But nonetheless, that's what it is. And so we found out that we are going to need the Spider-Verse characters in order to unlock her. I was very surprised, and maybe you can like illuminate me a little bit on this. Is there some kind of like comic connection to the two? Why did they pick Spider-Verse?
It's not a comic connection. I mean, let's face it. This is Kree for Fury 2.0.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was some kind of like even obscure link in the comics to why we would need them. But if that's not there, then yes, it's incredibly obvious that they're trying to. I mean, this is a team that they know we won't have a lot of, so we'll have to buy in order to unlock Shuri. They played it well. I mean, and I actually kind of predicted this a little bit ago that they were gonna pick a team. I didn't think it was gonna be Spider-Verse. I didn't know who they were gonna pick, but I knew that they were going to pick a team that we were not thinking about at all in order to get Shuri, because I knew that they wanted another like Panic Farm crunch time money spender like what we saw with Nick Fury. So I think that she's going to be like really, really good. Yeah, that's pulling that out of my ass. I have nothing to back that up, but I have a feeling she's going to be very good. So yeah. Now I already know. Just you can go ahead and tell everyone how close are you to getting this, and what will you get whenever it comes around?
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk into a 6-star, and I'll be putting the bare minimum into Miles and Carnage just to get them up to around tier 9-ish, because the rest of my team will be able to cover that content pretty comfortably, I'd say, because I've got my T12 6 red star Venom. I mean, he may even be able to solo that. Who knows? Spider-Man, everyone's got relatively high. Goblin, I've got ridiculously high just because I had some good luck with him during his Milestones event, so I capitalized on all the extra orange mats. So, yeah, I think depending on what these other release mechanisms are, I only need between 100 and 150 shards on Goblin, Carnage, and Miles Morales, who... it'd be interesting to see how my luck goes in the last week, but I think I'll be pretty close to having him at 7 stars from the raids anyway, which means that it'll be pretty close for me walking into 7 stars. So look, for me, this could work out pretty well, but I know that me choosing to go in hard on those Spider-Verse characters because of some luck that I had with their roles is definitely not going to be the experience that the bulk of the players will have. So it's going to be a lot of people are going to have to buy this team. And it's just like the Kree for Fury thing, is that they're making you farm a team that, while some of the characters are individually good, as a group, like they're pretty much garbage. Like they're not sure to win in Blitz at all.
Right. Yeah, I would totally agree with that, and that's why that kind of feeds into the whole thing where it's a team that I don't think anyone really leveled up because of that. They saw how they were together, and they're like, all right, not worth really investing in. They knew that was probably a safe pick. I mean, this is all, just me speculating, but I feel like they knew that was a safe pick to get in order to really get people buying whenever it comes around. But with that being said, I'm definitely not even close to getting. I'm not going to get her on the first go round because I have nothing on Carnage. I mean, like, I think I have Carnage unlocked, but that's it. Same thing for Green Goblin. Now, we do know that, or they said in this same blog, that we are going to be getting them in some kind of new unlock method outside of Blitz, and that we'll hear more about it in the future. But we don't exactly know what that's going to be. I hope, and it sounds like they are going to release that method, whatever it is, before the event this time, as opposed to what we saw with Brotherhood, because that was probably the biggest pain in the ass. But yeah, so I'm definitely not. I don't care really that I'm missing her too much because altogether, I don't know what the team's going to play out to be, but it's just going to be. And you mentioned this before, whenever we were talking outside of this podcast, but it's just going to be such an investment because once you have Cherie, you still need to get and level up Okoye, Killmonger, M'Baku in order to really, at least from, superficially looking at it, to really make it pay off with that team that she's meant for. So that's just so much money that you're going to have to throw down after that, or time. So,
yeah, and then there's the question of, is it worth it as well? I mean, this is...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long we've been banging on about this. So, I mean, I know Dorian is consistently banging, they haven't given me test server access. They haven't given me test server access, as a lot of us have behind the scenes. And a lot of people go, yeah, but what does it matter? Like, it's something that you guys get that no one else gets. But what people forget is the reason that guys like Dorian or myself want that test server access is because we want to be able to go in with an advanced build, seeing exactly how these characters are going to launch, and say to everyone, do you know what? This is the game modes that they're going to be spectacular in. This is where they're going to be terrible in. It's worth buying, or B, it's not. To be able to give the community you really, really want to get in on this team. But there are so many different things already that before we even see this team together that make me think they're not going to be worth it. And the main reason is for 3 out of the 4 endgame raids, for the bulk of the raid, you are not going to be able to use this team.
Yep, that is very true. That's something that we had actually, or that I brought up last time, was that because of the traits that they have, they're spread out around 3 traits. And that's already something that's a problem with Kree that I have, and pretty much every other team outside of Fury and Shield. And that's what makes Fury and Shield so good, is because as long as you have skill on there, you can pull them for anything, which is so nice because skill's a common trait, and you can have the whole team. I get so frustrated whenever I can't have a full team that I spent so much time leveling up, and I can't use them basically on any node. And from the traits that we know so far with them, I'm not going to be able to do that again.
Yeah, and I mean, things like what Evan Beige has written in chat, like, basically, what if they made tags count for anything? I think that's something they should do for legendary characters, is basically give them an exclusive trait, which basically is, legendary or universal. So that way, any node, any raid, you could use these, high-end characters that are supposed to be challenging to farm. I would love to see that, and I would love a lot of these characters that are legendary to live up to that legendary name, because many of those characters are very, very, you can use them in 1, maybe 2 teams, but for other teams they don't really do anything else. Fury's the only exception, that he's, universally great. Star-Lord, great character, but very specific. Iron Man, very, very underwhelming. The partial rework he got was pathetic. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these things at the moment, you just sort of look at and go, I don't think they've got the right idea right now of trying to force people to buy so many characters, so many teams, and then build nodes that are designed to basically have you die. Not only by overscaling it, but, by deliberately putting in a node where, you cannot use a tank. If you get a Spider-Verse or Tech node where it's just those two, you're going to die. Because you might have super DPS burst, but on Beta 4, even a maxed out 6-star, 7 red star rocket is not going to be able to AoE kill everything first turn, which means that you need to survive at least a couple of hits.
Right, exactly. And that's something that is so frustrating for especially, people that have invested in teams expecting to be able to use them. And then it never pans out. You have to look for for Wakanda, I'm going to have to look for a Wakanda specific node in order to be able to use them. And I'm really not looking forward to that. That being said, though,
it is in Gamma. There were some in Gamma.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that there wasn't at the time we were making fun of it because there was what Wakanda team. So yeah, I guess we will be able to use them there. But I do think that her being a tech-based support, I'm more excited to try to put her with a tech team than anything else right now because, a full tech trait we see, it's fairly common, and a good healer like that. I mean, granted, we did just have what's her face?
Minerva.
Minerva.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see how she stacks up to that. But she could be really good in a tech team, depending on if she has just general synergy, like general team synergy, or if she's really, really, really Wakanda focused on her synergy, which wouldn't surprise me. So we'll have to see about that. But is there anything else that you wanted to touch on there, or are you good?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think they've got an opportunity with her. They really want to make a universally good character. I mean, if they make her a kind of a universal type healer that can plug into any team and she can heal them well, I mean, that might bode well for an Ultima 7 with some sort of a mix and match team outside of Wakanda. If other things die. But,
right.
Yeah.
I do like that thought that you had about legendary characters being able to be used pretty much anywhere for any tag. Mm-hmm. That would be really, really nice. I actually really like that idea. That should be something that they should do.
Yeah, I mean, and as it is at the moment, it's not like that would really impact much, right? Except for Fury. No, I guess it would actually be pretty great. If you could have Fury in any raid team, that would be awesome. So yeah, never going to happen, basically, because it's something that's good for us.
That's true. So let's just go ahead and go on to the next part, which is whatever I tell you in a second. Mm-hmm. All right, so the Widowmaker calendar. Widowmaker, awesome. We ended up getting the 100 shards. We didn't get them how we originally thought, which was just going to be in the mail. We got 100 shards. We're getting it in the calendar, which I was originally worried about just because if I missed a day, I was going to be really worried about, if I can't make that up. But they are giving us a 7-day grace period. And then we also, along with the 100 Captain Marvel shards, we're going to be getting a Mega Orb, 2 Premium Orbs, and 2 Training Orbs. The Mega Orb is pretty much the only thing that really matters to me there outside of the Marvel shards. But either way, I have to be more patient than I thought, but, not terrible. I get a little something for it, and, chances are I won't miss any of them with the 7-day grace period.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to level her up once you've got her unlocked anyway?
No.
Yeah, me either. So that's why
I don't have the resources.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have the resources, and it's just not worth it with everything else I need to level up. So
yeah, and for someone that the MCU and Kevin Feige has said is the most powerful superhero currently in the MCU, superhero, not character. Right. I am surprised at how she's not a legendary character like you already said, right. But B, that she's not better on paper than she is. I want to do some testing on her when she comes out, but she doesn't look good enough for me to invest the gear into. So yeah, I'm really torn on that one.
Yeah, she doesn't. I mean, whenever I look at Nick Fury's kit and everything, I'm like, oh my god, I need this character. Whenever I look at Captain Marvel's kit, I'm not underwhelmed, because I think that she has a good kit, but it's not something that makes me go, oh my god, I need to level her up right now. So anyways, it's good that at least we got the grace period out of it, and we're going to get a Mega Orb out of it. So that'll be nice. Next thing, Shield Assault Blitz. It's coming. They miscalculated the dates. Surprise, surprise. Whatever. It's going to come. Enter the Darkness update. They ended up dropping the Gear Tier 10 restriction, but they did delay the changes. And I guess they're going to be coming out next week now for missions 1 through 3, making it a little easier, and then getting those completion rewards, including it will be retroactive. So anyone that's completed it, you will also get them. But
so that's just going to be gold, right?
I don't think that they've specified what we're going to be getting.
Yeah, I heard the first time that they were going to do, like when they were putting in the Gear 10, that they sort of alluded to the fact that that might change the end reward. So some of us were like, oh great, we're going to get some more free orange gear. But yeah, if they're only doing the other change, oh no, it does say first time rewards and missions 1 through 3 difficulty changes. So yeah, maybe there will be some free stuff next week. I hope it's unique gear. I hope they've realized that
Me too.
The mix of stuff that you get means that some people would have rolled incredibly luckily and been able to get a couple of characters to T13. Then there are other people, such as myself, who still has 0 out of the 12 items that I need to get both Fury and Medic up. And, I've been finished since the first week of October. There's RNG and there's ridiculous, and that's where this is bordering. I've actually got a new daily way that I use my cause mate, which is I've stopped doing the campaign stuff, which, loses me a little bit out on, Captain Marvel and cause, but I don't really care about her right now. And that is I basically refresh the supply store. Twice per reset per day. So 6 times a day.
Wow, you really want them, don't you?
Well, I just need some characters into T12. Like, we've seen how badly they broke Fury. And I think, and it's too early to tell because we haven't seen enough of them in the wild yet, but I really think that Ultron's going to be worse.
Oh, yeah. I think that... The first time I ever saw him, I was saying that this is going to be like the biggest terror to have in the game whenever he's actually widely available. It's going to be disgusting to go up against him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I haven't encountered one yet, and I've heard there are some reasonable counters, but when they changed his resurrect mechanic and the way that he scales, that you cannot leave him alive, that, if you threw him in an auto-taunting team like, let's say a Fury team, which you could plug him in there quite comfortably, actually. It'll get real gross real fast.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that his kit perfectly counters everything that you think to counter him with.
Yeah.
You can't really stop him. He's built to just not be stopped and getting off his stuff, and then as soon as he goes, he's going to blow away whoever he touches. You can't do the defense down because then he'll do more. I'm sorry, the defense up because then he'll do more. And then as soon as he gets his minions and summons and does the acceleration, he starts going off like crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we've definitely seen that the clears and the cores spent from a couple of the guys I've spoken to in Legion has actually significantly reduced because the guys that have Ultron are now doing significantly better on tech nodes for very obvious reasons.
Right. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of glad to an extent that there's no red stars available on him. But I mean, you have to be able to clear it. Right now I can't even get into that game mode, let alone with the team that I want. So yeah, I did read that this has been a strategy that the guys have been using in some of the major alliances for a while, which is spending their cores on resetting that store. So I have noticed that by doing that for 2 weeks now, I still have 0 pieces of the one I really want, which is I'm actually thinking about writing a ticket of basically saying I need someone to actually look into my account. Is it even possible that these can roll on my store? Because it would be arguably some of the worst RNG ever to not have it pop up in my store once with 3 daily resets for over 6 months. It makes no sense to me.
Wow, you've been doing it for that long and you still haven't got it?
That's for 2 weeks, yeah. So basically, what that means is, so you have 3 natural resets per day, and I've been adding another 6 to that. And for 2 weeks, I've still seen almost none of the pieces that I want. What I do see is some other pieces coming through much more frequently, which does make me think that there may be different roll rates for different uniques, and they're deliberately gating the ones that you need for shield. Now, that's from a very, very small N right now. I haven't really been testing out for more than 2 weeks, but what I really should have done is actually documented. So Palladium seems to come up a lot. Vibranium seems to come up a lot. Adamantium seems to come up a moderate amount, but the ones that I need for shield, not at all.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I've never even thought about that being an issue, but it really makes sense that they would do that, as I'm sure it for obvious reasons, they would try to gate that down. And although that's so dumb and stupid, and I hate the idea of them doing that, I see that as something that they would totally do, like, for sure. So I think that, you should, just as you were saying, document it. And then I think, like, if all of the higher up alliances are doing it too, like, I think that you should probably talk to them and see if you can do like a little bit of a collaborative data mine on it and see if it really is something that they're doing.
I would love to do that, but unfortunately, a lot of the guys are very protective of their strategies. I mean, I don't know why. It's not like anyone could catch them even if they wanted to now. I mean, I spoke about this during the week that, this game blows my mind that, if you were a billionaire, you could probably walk into this game and drop, $200,000 tomorrow, and there is still nothing that you could do to catch the guy that's number one.
No.
Like, nothing you could do. And for a game like this, that makes no sense. I mean, look at any other mobile game that's designed to, really make you feel like you're getting advantage for your money. And in this game, you can't do that. Like, if I spent $200,000 today, there's nothing I could do to basically have an arena team that would compete with my own arena team. I would have to still wait like everyone else for good luck on Red Stars.
Right. Yeah, and that is the ultimate barrier. That's the thing, and it's something that I've mentioned a couple of times now. In actually both your podcast, whenever I was with Roy, and my own several times, is just that I'm getting really worried now because, as you know, we're never guaranteed anything above a 4-star at this point. Like, you could literally go for the rest of your life, if nothing changes, never getting anything above a 4-star. That is statistically possible. Yeah. We're getting into content now that's getting far more difficult and is beginning to require higher level red stars. At the rate that it's going, there's lots of people that could be spending tons of money and have been around since launch that will not be able to participate purely because they're gated off because of their luck. That's something that I'm incredibly upset about.
And see, that's exactly what's happened to me in Arena. Like, I mean, there was points in Arena where, like, I remember there was I think it was a 5 or 6 day streak where I didn't even have to play the Arena because I finished number 1 and no one tried to hit me because I was an early adopter of Fury. That team was so good at that time, it wrecked everyone, right?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that's good for the game, but it definitely showed what I was able to do very, very quickly by having the right team. So, this is frustrating to say the least. Yeah,
and that's, it's going to lead off into a big red star bashing thing that both, we want to do, but I guess we should probably hold back on. But all right, so let's go ahead and move down to the next thing. Alliance War, just a basic, like, it's coming, eventually, of course. We have nothing else other than we hear that it's coming. So
yeah, so can I combine a couple things here?
Sure.
Yeah, so it was written somewhere a while back. I'm positive by one of the devs, and it'd be interesting to see if they leave it that way. And this is not good news for people. If you remember a while ago, they were talking about like different characters and where they would be available. And Carnage and War Machine were slated to be for the Alliance War currency only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that, actually.
Yeah, if they leave it that way, I don't think many people, without buying, are going to get Shuri at 7 stars.
Yeah, definitely not without it coming. And that's a good way to... that's such a Fox Next-y thing to do, because for this... They did specifically mention that there is going to be an unlock method coming for both of those characters. Mm-hmm. And that would probably be the unlock method that they're talking about, even though it's not the one that we would be thinking of.
Yeah.
And it would gate off everyone from getting it, but it still allows them to say, well, you can get it. We told you. Which is something that they love to do. So, yeah, I do remember... hearing that, and I think that would be pretty much right up their alley on what they would do. So yeah, you're gonna have to drop a lot of money to still get it, even though it's quote unquote farmable. So yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that, or was that?
No, it was just combining those two things together. That we'd mentioned obviously Shuri earlier, and then we were talking about like the new currencies, and then Alliance War came up, and I remember that I wanted to make that point. So no, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Alliance War. I think it's going to be a massive time sink. I do not trust their ability to get the matchmaking right, because, it took the better part of 12 months for Galaxy of Heroes to get their version of this right. And they did it in a way that if you had been playing for a while and you're in Alliance that had a larger, total CP, if you have to fight people with tougher rosters, you got rewarded accordingly. But what they did really well over there is they made the rewards for winning and losing not markedly different.
Right.
Yeah. And that was huge.
That would be the much better thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're looking at this yet again, stacking everything in the winner's favor, it looks like, that the loser will get about 25% of what the winner will get.
I didn't remember them mentioning that it was going to be that low. That's going to be really bad if it is that low.
Yeah, this is coming from a couple of people who are in the know, but they've said to me, I mean, I haven't been able to get in the test server, so I haven't done any of that sort of stuff. But, I have read that the reward differences between the two are going to be pretty terrible.
Yeah, that's not going to be good at all. I'm not looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not looking forward to the mode in general just because it's going to be such a time sink, but... Yeah. I also just think it's going to be a probably an uninspired mode at the end of the day. Like, it's not going to be what I feel is quality content coming in. So,
yeah. And the pay to win sound of it as well. Like, I mean, when they're saying that you can buy, healing charges for it, that instantly makes me think, screw this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just not a way to. There's no way to play fair in it. So, I don't like it for all of those reasons above. So we'll see how that goes. But let's go ahead and get into Killmonger. We're going to do the character spotlight on Killmonger real quick. Okay. So, first of all, I'm not going to do the lore and everything like that. Sorry, that's Dorian's thing. So I'm just going to get right into it. First of all, we have the assist and counter. Attack primary target for 210% damage, gain 17% piercing, 30% drain. That's actually pretty good considering his kit that we're going to be getting into. That's the reason why I mentioned it, because he has the drain attached to it as well, and he's going to be countering a lot.
Now, that's if he is allowed to drain off the counter. So many of the mechanics in this game.
Does.
So where was that part?
This is on MSFGG. They have the assist and counter info now.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to work similarly to Drax in that he has drain on a counter / assist. Guaranteed drain of a certain percentage. For Drax, I think it's like 50%, but for him, it's supposed to be 30%. You know, also MSFGG isn't 100% right about everything all the time. So, and assist and counter info is already a little meh as it is. So I'm curious to see if that is the case, but the way it looks right now, at least he will be having the 30% drain, 17% piercing and 30% drain on any assist or counter. So if that is the case, knowing what we know about his kit afterwards, it will be pretty good. So I'll go ahead and get through the rest real quick. But so Focus Fire is his basic. Attack primary target for 330% damage plus 30% drain. On crit, bonus attack 2 times for 330% damage plus 30% drain, and then you lose 1 charged. Otherwise, you gain 1 charge, up to a maximum of 5. So, actually, I'm just going to go through the whole kit, and then we'll just discuss it all at once. So, next we have his special, which is full auto. It takes 3 energy, and it starts full. And you attack the primary target for 200% damage 3 times. On crit, you gain offense up, and you lose charged. Otherwise, you gain 1 charge, and once again, that it stacks to a maximum of 5. Next, you have the ultimate, which is Battle Frenzy, and that comes with 4 out of the 6 charges needed. You attack the primary target for 300% damage, chain to all adjacent targets for 240% damage, and on crit, you attack all enemies for 200% damage and lose charged. Otherwise, you gain +1 charge up to a maximum of 5. And keep in mind, this does counterattack breaks his chain, which I feel like will be important whenever you're considering that. So last, we're going to get onto Retribution, which is his passive. On defense up, attack the most injured enemy for 330% damage. On kill, heal for 10% of this character's max health. And then you also gain a passive 20% drain. And then you gain a passive 20% crit chance per charge stack. And in raids specifically, he gains 20% chance to counter in general. And then in raids, once again, you gain plus 20% chance to counterattack for each Wakandan ally. So, what do you think about his kit altogether? Oh, by the way, before you do that, I just want to mention his traits. So he's a villain, global, skill, blaster, Wakanda, and mercenary. So, what do you think?
Yeah, look, as a blaster, I mean, having benefits in a raid only, I don't know yet. I think something feels like it's missing from his kit, and I think it's going to be probably him critting might have Shuri do something for the team. I don't know what that might be yet. And the other thing I'm a bit confused by as well is what retribution actually means. So on defense up, attack the most injured enemy. Now, is that when they get defense up, or is that when you get defense up, or is that when anyone gets defense up?
That's a good point. I considered it, or I assumed it was whenever you, like that character, gains defense up. So Killmonger gains defense up.
Okay, so I mean, if there's some mechanic, for example, that means, every time he crits, he gets defense up or something, I mean, that could be incredible, or if there's some mechanic that, once someone goes below a... Actually, do you know what? It might be when a character goes below a certain amount of health, automatically gain defense up. That could make him quite good, because what that's going to do is, let's say he drops below 50% when the enemy attacks. Then maybe he gets defense up. Then he's going to shoot them for 260% damage at 4th tier. Then he's going to heal for 20% drain. And if that crits, obviously that's going to have some bonuses as well, right? Now, then if he kills that target, he's going to heal for another 10%. So I mean, if he's a character that's able to frequently pop above and below that 50%. And remember that there was already some precedent here for the whole 50% thing with Wakanda. So it'll be interesting to see if they make a theme. So, we know that Black Panther gains charge when he's below 50%. The original Okoye kit, she used to jump in and help if he went below 50%. Actually, did she instantly get full speed bar? That might have been what it was.
I think so.
Yeah, it's going to change, but I wonder, now that we're talking about it, whether that's actually going to be a theme of this team. When the team drops below 50%, what will it do? So, Yeah, the rest of his kit, I mean, there's nothing special in the sense that he has no utility. I mean, he's not applying defense downs. He's not, putting anything on his fellow team members. He's pure damage, right? So he's kind of, a villain punisher, if you will, that doesn't get the bonus against heroes. This would have been a good opportunity to do that, put in some sort of a bonus against heroes to make him more universally good.
Right.
But, for the most part, a lot of his kit looks underwhelming. I think he's going to be a decent raid character if you are able to get red stars, because he might be able to keep himself alive. But, you get a heal block on this guy, which is very, very frequent in those game modes now, with the frequency of Spider-Verse and Brotherhood characters, that it may not matter. I mean, you can have all the passive attacks in the world, but if you haven't got the ability to cleanse, which I'm hoping Shuri has, if she had something like, when a character crits, clear them of all buffs, I mean, well, he could be an unstoppable machine. I think that kit looks mediocre without someone else boosting him somehow.
Right. For me, I think it's a very good assessment, especially with the 50% mark having something to do with that. And I bet once you mentioned it, that does sound like something that could happen, which is once he gets below a 50% mark, Shuri or M'Baku, I guess would probably be more likely, would be applying a 50%, a defense up on him, which then would proc that part of his passive. But I think that his kit actually looks quite good for a blaster specifically. You're right, he has no real utility that helps out anyone else. It's all about giving him, offense up to and drain to damage. The drain to stay alive, and then offense up to damage and critting everywhere. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest reason why I think he's going to be so good, because I think he's pretty much going to be a yo-yo. Like, I think he's going to be constantly dipping a little bit lower, and then he has so much drain built into his kit that and the heal on the kill as well, that I think he's just going to be constantly healing himself. But I did assume that the biggest weakness that was going to end up ultimately making him a not so great character would be, we do see those heal blocks so frequently now that it would really destroy everything that he looks like he's built to do. So unless Shuri does have that, some kind of cleanse that comes around quite often, I feel like ultimately he's going to end up being not so great. But I think if she does have a cleanse that comes around decently often, I think that he's going to actually be quite a monster in raids. And it does depend on some other synergy, but the way he's built really looks impressive to me, at least, especially for raids. The one thing I don't like, though, and I think is probably going to be fairly useless, is maybe not useless, but the attack all enemies for 200% damage on his ultimate. I actually don't like that as much, because we see counterattacks so often on people anyways that I feel like he won't get very far in his chain. It's the reduced damage, so it's only going to be 200%. And I would almost rather have just the regular 300% and then all adjacent targets for 240. So I don't know. That's the only thing that I don't really like about his kit. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, see, there's a lot of things to be interpreted here too, mate. I mean, there's so many ways that you can interpret that battle frenzy that could make it, mediocre at best or spectacular. Mediocre worst case, but spectacular at best case. So let me put it this way. So it says on crit, attack all enemies for 175%, right?
For 200% on level. I'm on level 7. You're probably on level 6.
Level 6,
okay.
yeah. So what would happen? So let's say with his primary attack, what if he crit 5 times?
What if he crit 5 times on his primary?
Yeah, so attack primary target for 270, and then chain to 5 adjacent targets for 200% damage. So on crit, attack all enemies for 175% damage. So my question is this. what happens if he crit multiple times during that chain? I'm assuming they'll only let you do that damage once, but if it didn't, if it was allowed to do it multiple times, that could be gigantic.
Yeah, I feel like that's a reach just because it's too good.
But otherwise, for a 6 energy ability, in it, if it doesn't, it's kind of pathetic.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's why I'm just not a fan of it. If it does work the way you mentioned, though, then I'd be very interested. But that just sounds too good, so I don't think that that's going to happen. For a character that's non-legendary or something like that, yeah. But so overall, you think that it's really just going to depend on Cherie, whether it makes it worth it or not. He's either going to be very good or not so great. Based on her.
I'm not going to put any gear or energy into him until I've seen Cherie.
Right. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
just for sure.
Yeah, just because I don't. Now that we know that you don't need him to unlock her, also takes the pressure off buying this Wakandan team first time around. Because if you get her and she's the more challenging part to access, and this I'd probably say to a lot of people too, if you are not going to buy the Wakandan team this first time round as their packs release, don't invest in the Spider-Verse. I mean, why panic farm to get a legendary character that is only good for a team that you don't have? You know, so it's kind of an all in or nothing in. If you ask my advice at the moment, and right now with no further information from Fox Next, I would say to anyone that's in the Dolphin category, probably at the moment until we see Shuri, give everything a hard pass.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And that's something that you would think would be to the detriment of Fox Next by not releasing their stats and showing how good they are. But unfortunately, the community just seems, they just kind of spend whenever something might be good. So, yeah, I wish that something would, basically what I'm saying that is because I wish that people didn't spend quite as much whenever these kinds of things came around. That way they would be more inclined to show us how good they are. Because, yeah, I don't feel comfortable spending my resources that I'm already bottlenecked in every aspect to get on something that I don't know if there's going to be any real payoff at all. So,
yeah, I mean that's the thing, though, mate. You hit the nail on the head that people are going to buy constantly anyway. It doesn't really matter what they put out. I mean, you look at. I would love to see the breakdown of stats on the Fox Next side, because I would have to think. The average spender is either now not spending or spending less than they used to. But I would say that the top end, the top 100 players...
Far more.
I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest they're probably... The top 100 players are spending 90% of the money on this game.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, statistics have already shown that in most mobile games, the majority, the bulk of the income for the game comes from a fraction of the population, just the whale population, basically. Everything else is kind of pennies in comparison to what they end up dropping ultimately, cumulatively. But I think that that was the biggest thing with Red Stars for me, was the fact that it really cornered everyone. It was brilliant in a way of making money, just because it literally forced you to have to spend and keep spending a lot of money just to maintain the level of competitiveness that you were at right before they dropped. You are now required to keep spending on them. So it was brilliant in that aspect, but yeah, it was terrible though, because you immediately hit that sunk cost fallacy where it's like, I've already spent so much just to get competitive, and now I'm going to lose it immediately if I don't keep dropping on Red Stars. So
yeah, and I quit Galaxy of Heroes for a very similar move. Like when Mods 2.0 came out and they introduced a new tier of mods, it basically meant that just to stay where I was going to be, I needed to keep rolling on mods. And to do the best way to do that was to spend like the equivalent of cores on rerolls and that sort of thing. Right. Just to keep my spot in arena, or just to make my raid characters more viable in the newer content. So I looked at that and just sort of thought, no, like I don't want to go through and have to redo all my current characters. Like if it was a level cap increase and a new gear tier, that's something they do really well over there. That they sort of go, hey, do you know what? You all need gold. Here's all the gold you need. Like, they actually do, like, the equivalent of a payday. They do that, like, weekly.
Yeah, Dorian was telling me that. It sounds very nice.
Yeah, they didn't used to, but they added that in. And it was great, because you could take all your characters up to max level. But then to get a character to T12 with all the top level gear, which is their equivalent of orange gear, that took quite a while. You know, it took you having to do really well in raids. It took having to, do pretty well in territory wars and territory battles. But you got there. Like, there was always progression. Right. That's what's really put me off this game recently, is that there are characters that I cannot progress any further to anything that I control. Even if I threw 50 grand at it, which I would never do, right. It wouldn't let me.
Yeah, exactly. There's no guarantee at all, and that's the huge problem. In fact, you're still unlikely to. So, yeah, and that's, as you and I have pretty much talked it to death already, but we know that there's, what's even worse about it is that there's backwards progression. So with the red stars, whenever you invest tons of money just to try to get, a decent star, you get that elite star built up, you get a 4-star, which is, statistically the most likely thing. You're going to end up coming out with less on the other end. So the whole system is terrible. I don't know why I always end up floating back to red stars. I don't know why.
It's a game breaking mechanic.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not talk about Marvel Strike Force and not talk about it. Is this character good? They're fine if you can get the red stars. There's very, very few characters in this game that still do their role well without red stars. Characters like Merc Lieutenant, Kingpin, they can do their jobs. Yeah, but I mean, not necessarily in raids, because if they get killed off before they can do their one thing, it's not going to matter.
I 100% agree with that. I always think, whenever I think of one person that's just going to be killed off immediately, whenever I put them on the team, I think Doctor Strange. That is now a
for me now it's Minerva. Yeah. Like I've got her at tier 11, but because she's 0 red stars, because I haven't got any luck there.
Yeah,
dead.
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and I was just saying that she's gonna, even though she has a lot more health than Strange, I'm like, because of the way that this game is programmed and who it targets first, unless you have red stars on her, she will not be viable, especially in endgame content.
So, funnily enough. So Casino actually has a lot of the background coding stuff. I'm not sure how. It must be through some sort of a interesting data mine method. But he's actually said that these new raids do not seem to have a support targeting mechanic. Now, I've gone back to him and said, I disagree, because she gets murdered in the face in every team that I put her on. She gets focus fired. She's dead before my Thanos can go off, in beta, for example. So, yeah, it definitely feels like that's the case.
Yeah, I would be incredibly surprised by that, because every time that it seems like I bring in a character like that, they immediately get destroyed. So, I would be really surprised.
Yeah.
But that's interesting nonetheless. I'll probably keep watching out for that now. But that pretty much does it for the character spotlights. Let's get into the last part, which is who are you farming, who are you upgrading, what's your plans for the future? What would you recommend to focus on right now?
Yeah, so look, right now I'm in holding pattern again. So I was about to go through and take a couple of teams to T13 and just basically hope that I could get some characters into Dark Dimension soon. That's my goal number one right now, is I need that Ultron, because I know what Fox Next is like. They're lazy programmers. He's going to be OP, right? And once he starts... And the other side is the prevalence of tech in all raids. Having Ultron could mean the difference of me not having to use heal energy in a day. If he's able to just destroy and put all these amazing things up on a team, that's going to be awesome. Right. So I was halfway through taking my defenders from tier 9, T10 up to T12. And then, I started to hear about Shuri, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit pause for a sec and see what's needed for her. So yeah, I'm a bit torn. I have a feeling my number one goal right now probably should be Dark Dimension, because unless they add a bunch more Wakanda nodes or change some things around this, you have to use this kind of team on this kind of lane, which is terrible. I just don't think I'm going to be able to use that Wakanda team even if I unlock them. So if their methods for getting those characters up to, say, 5 or 6 yellow stars is reasonably easy without buying, I may do that on the side. But I think right now it's going to be taking that up.
Right.
As for my daily farm characters, I finished another couple of characters over the last couple of weeks. So at the moment, I have shifted to Nobu. So Nobu's taken the spot that I was farming with Miss Marvel. Then I'm doing Wasp, because I still need about 40 shards, and then she's done. So they're in the villains nodes. Then I'm doing Winter Soldier out of the heroes nodes, just to get those hero dailies done.
Right.
And then at the moment, to be completely honest, that's about it. Some days I'll do Hand Sentry, but for the rest of it, I'm actually very foolishly, because the odds are so terrible, trying to farm gear instead. So I've become very, very low on gear over the last couple of months trying to take some of these new characters up. So yeah, that's hurting me a lot. I'm back up to about 150 ABCs, but only about 50 on the red version of that. The little shard things, a lot of the tech gear. I'm struggling pretty hard. So I need gear more than I need characters right now. And I've been quite lazy too. I need to cobble together a Mystic team and go and clear that Vision node as well, so I can farm your favorite character.
That's one thing I will never. I won't even finish that node. Like I won't do it. I'm not going to 3-star it.
Yeah, but look, if I'm gonna go to the effort of getting Ultron, people are gonna target him turn 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd be nuts not to go in and try and bring up Vision if I'm gonna start trying to farm towards an Ultron. So
yeah, that's true. You would be nuts. I guess like me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about you, mate? What are you farming right now? I'll come back to you. What do I recommend people do right now? After you tell me.
So yeah, for me right now, I've been basically just trying to bring up my shield as quickly as possible to everyone on T12. I already have some of them there, but I want that ASAP, and because I'm assuming that they're going to leave Ult 7s. We know it's coming fairly soon. I'm assuming they're going to leave that traitless, and if so, I need my shield team up. Hopefully they don't put a lot of shield blocker teams in, on nodes, which I have a feeling that they are going to probably do.
Yeah.
But regardless, they're still the most reliable team that I've found, and so I have my Kree up very high now. Yeah. They're all T11, all level 70. My shield team, like I said, they're going up to T12. I'm farming the rest of my Kree to try to get them up to 7 stars so I can get Nick Fury up to 7 stars. I won't make it this go around, but I will at least get him up to 6, so that's good. And then after that, I'm not going to get Spider-Verse up in time. I just know it because I'm not spending or anything. So I'm not even expecting that. I'm looking forward to just basically see what I want to do, because I guess there's some beauty in knowing that you aren't going to get this character, because then you can just kind of sit on the sideline. You don't ever feel compelled to spend, and that you're going to be missing out on something because you know you're not going to do it, and you can really see if the payout's worth it without dropping a dime on it. So I'm just going to be waiting on that, and depending on that situation, I'm either going to finish off my Brotherhood, because Brotherhood's come in quite handy for particular nodes. I wish that they had a healer. That would be amazing if they had a healer. But at least as of right now, I mean, do they even have a healer on the roster for comic book wise for Brotherhood? I'm not sure who that would be.
Not really. I mean, you could do some cheeky little lore twists where you might be able to have say somewhere from Toad come in and he can kind of like poison or leech stuff off of them to give to your team. A little bit like Minerva, I guess. Like you might be able to manipulate the lore a little bit. Not that he was like that,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, some of the psychics, I guess,
Phoenix, maybe?
I think Psylocke. Yeah, look, Dark Phoenix, they've got an opportunity there, but I'm going to be real interested to see what they do with Phoenix. Phoenix should be a legendary character.
Oh, yeah.
If they put her in the game. But I don't think they will. Now that we know Shuri's going to be the next legendary, I can't see them putting out another legendary only 3 months after. Or not even. When's that movie? Is that May or June?
I'm not sure offhand, but yeah, I think June sounds right. I'm going to be really upset if they don't do that, because if they put Shuri... If they put Shuri as a legendary character and not Dark Phoenix, I'm going to lose my mind. That just makes so little sense to me. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's the same thing with Captain
wouldn't that
Marvel.
be amazing if it was a legendary event that needed Brotherhood?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It lines up so well. So I wish that they do that, but for money reasons, that they probably won't. So
no. Exactly. But look, I have no idea what their plan is right now. I mean, I'm really surprised that the timing of Wakanda is now, because we are less than 4 weeks away from Avengers Endgame. Like that movie.
Yeah.
Like what an opportunity to absolutely capitalize on the massive hype and phenomenal amount of money that movie is going to make. And they will not be finished the Wakanda cycle by then.
yeah, no, that's a very good point.
Yeah. So if there are characters from Avengers, when are we going to see them? You'd have to think Falcon's coming to the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, he's not a particular favorite of mine, but yeah, I mean, he should be in here whenever Endgame. They've always been a bit behind schedule, it seems like. Well, I mean, Captain Marvel hit pretty...
Not at the start. Remember that we had Thanos about 3 weeks before the Infinity War movie dropped.
True, but then I was thinking about they never released those other characters that they were planning on, the ones that were with Thanos. I forgot what they were called. Were they
Star-Lord and Loki?
No. I mean, they didn't either. But I was talking about on the traits for him.
Oh, you're talking about the rest of his Black Order.
The Black Order. I was expecting Black Order to come fairly soon after,
That's a
but
good
they
point.
never did. And we haven't heard any mention of them since, and they wiped it from his trait. So I was a little surprised by that. And I figured because we had specifically heard from them about Star-Lord and Loki that they were going to come right after. But they were once again behind on that. Deadpool, but as far as characters that released on time that were like the main part of the story, Thanos and Deadpool were right on point. So, but since then, it seems like Ant-Man and Wasp are around the right time too. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I just don't know who they're going to release.
I mean,
for
it's just kind of the state of that studio right now, man. That I think for a while they may have been nervous about the 20th of the 3rd, which is basically in 3 days from now is when Disney officially takes over all of Fox products, including Fox Next. So maybe this developer figured, wow, what's the chances we're going to still be around? I mean, because if Disney keeps Fox Next, it is an anomaly for them.
Yeah.
In the sense that they don't really have their own games anymore, and they've sold off all their studios one by one because they know that A, it's significantly more lucrative to them to have the licensing deals because there's no cost and no gamble for them. I mean, they makes the monies if the game succeeds or flops.
Right.
And there's no controversy for them. They don't have to cop the heat when EA puts in crazy loot boxes. They don't have to cop the heat that hopefully we can start generating against Fox Next as well for how they've made EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2 look generous with their progression system,
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, yeah, it just seems like a studio without a plan right now, man. I mean, I'm sure that they do. I mean, there's leaked lists going around the Discords at the moment of this is their 12-month plan, and there's some very interesting choices, and some of them you just go, that doesn't even seem real. Like, why would you choose to put that character in when you still haven't done X, Y, Z?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one that's been floating around is kind of been off anyways. I think it was actually just recently proven to be wrong, at least on some degree. because it had claimed that Jan Rog was coming.
Yeah.
Right? And he never ended up coming. So,
yeah. I mean, some of those have been accurate, but, the studio's basically, been like a puppy on floor tiles and had to change direction really quickly because they realized there's a big movie tie-in coming up that they haven't taken advantage of. I mean, we could well see, the Wakanda team being incomplete for a long time like Spider-Verse was. Remember how long it took them to get the Carnage event out that was supposed to have been back in December that we didn't end up getting until, I think it was February.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So you couldn't even play that full team for 3 months. So yet another reason that I wouldn't go hard on Wakanda right now as a standalone team and Spider-Verse as a result.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to see for that, but it'll be interesting. I really hope that Phoenix is a legendary character, but, we'll have to see what happens with it. Real quick, I just want to, just because I did put this in before, want to just grab like one or two questions out of the grab bag, and then we're going to go ahead and close up because I did forget to do this.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and see. So Chadro, he asks, what is your favorite Marvel movie and your least favorite Marvel movie? So why don't you go ahead and start?
Favorite. That's harder for me because a lot of them are pretty much my babies. I mean, as a massive nerd for a long time, I would have to say the weaker ones for me would have to be the Thor series, except for Ragnarok. Right. I think that the first couple of Thors were, they're okay, but nothing spectacular. But obviously, Ragnarok was a hell of a lot of fun. Captain Marvel, I don't know where to put it, but I feel like it's in the bottom 5 of all the movies out there. It was just missing something, I mean, whether it was a lack of feeling of peril, where you never really felt like she was ever going to fail or anything like that, which for a superhero who's just really trying to find her feet, they're the things. Like, it was nothing like, which is probably one of my favorites, the very first Iron Man. Yeah. Like, that movie by itself, I was like, I remember my mate said to me, did you end up seeing Iron Man? It was like the weekend before it was about to leave cinemas forever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, those cartoons were terrible, man. And I never read Iron Man in the comics. Right. And he's like, you haven't seen it? And I'm like, no. And he's like, and you're not going to? I said, no, why? It's Iron Man. Like, what a terrible character. Because my only knowledge of him was the terrible 90s cartoon. Right. So, yeah, he dragged me at like a 9 p.m. session in a still full cinema for the last weekend. It was right in the front row, so I basically had to like lean down in the seat to look directly up at the screen. So I was in a bad mood before it even started. Wow. And I walked out the movie going, holy crap, they can do comic books in a movie now. This is amazing. This is what I've wanted when I saw all those bad rip-offs back in the day of, like Blade 2 was a terrible... Blade 3... Yeah, 2 and 3 were pretty bad, actually. Number 1 was great. Spawn was an okay movie, but to see that movie, it was like, do you know what? We could do this properly now. And then, I heard the plan for the phases, and I got really excited. So Iron Man 1 has a solid place for me. I've watched that movie probably more than any of the other movies. I'd have to say Age of Ultron would probably down the bottom near the Thors.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. All the Caps were pretty good. Yeah, so I'd say my favorites would probably be Iron Man 1. I wasn't a huge fan of Iron Man 3 either.
Iron Man 3 I thought was bad.
So Iron Man 1 and let's say Infinity War. Like, I really rate that they had the balls to go down that road.
What about, what if I threw in the old school Spider-Mans?
I mean, number 1 was an objectively good movie. I think 2 was the strongest in that series.
Really?
2 was good.
1 was the best, sure.
With the Doc Ock. Yeah, I think 2's a better movie. I think 3 is one of the worst superhero movies ever made. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, it's not Daredevil, Elektra terrible, but it's not that much better. Yeah. I mean, nothing is Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. Yeah, so I'd say That's right, because there's 5 of those. I'm only thinking of the first 3. The Garfield ones were okay, but they were definitely lacking a certain something. And then, yeah, I'm kind of glad that they just decided to reset that universe. And I think that new kid's doing spectacularly well. What's his name? Tom
Holland, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, man? What are yours?
For me, so first of all, interesting. I actually just remembered this whenever you said Captain Marvel, but I didn't even tell you yet. But Irish and I actually recorded the very first episode for the movie review show that we're going to be doing for the show. So, yeah, that'll be on Alter Nerd as well. And we just recorded the first one over Captain Marvel, and it was a lot of fun. So, for me, I would say the worst, hands down, Age of Ultron, because that's when they introduced Vision.
Yeah.
And also because it also just wasn't a memorable movie at all, especially for the big, build-up movie that they had where everyone comes in again. So I just expected more of a full Avengers movie. And I think that my favorite... I'm trying to think if there's any, just before I say this, I'm trying to think if there's any that actually compete with it in my mind. Okay. All right. So my favorite is going to be Thor Ragnarok. I loved that movie so much. It was crazy. Everything was amazing. Yeah. The scenes, the colors, the comedy was so good. I love Taika Waititi. He does everything so well. It's ridiculous. What We Do in the Shadows is an amazing movie, and he's in there. And you should definitely watch it.
I still haven't watched the whole thing. It starts off so slow.
It does start off slow. It's very much like that's his brand of comedy, though. I guess you don't really get to see that in Thor Ragnarok. But anyways, yeah. So that was a really good one, and. Yeah, Infinity War's a close second, but Thor Ragnarok I think takes the cake. I just really loved Thanos in Infinity War, but that'll pretty much do it. Unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip right to the end and do a little bit of an outro. So thank you guys for listening to the Ravager Report. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to become a part of the community, you can do so at our Discord channel at discord.me/Ravager Report, or you can find us on Twitter at Ravager Repo. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to help support the show, you can join the other patrons at patreon.com/Ravager Report, where we have subscriptions levels ranging from $2 to $20, where you get early show access at $5. We want to send out a great big thank you to all of our patrons, and I want to let you know that we really, really, really appreciate the support. And until next time, you stay classy, Marvel Strike Force.